As far as being together that long? Well, we're good friends, still good friends. And, so we have no problems getting along, you know. So it's been we have a lot of fun at it together, and a lot of camaraderie. So it's been a good situation. We're like brothers.
You know, I met Bob. I was selling used cars in Seattle. He came in to buy a car. That's how we met. And we talked back and forth, and yeah, I was a terrible salesman. I was too honest. He came in and I talked to him and I liked him. And he said, how about that car over there? And I said, no, you don't want that car. So I wasn't making much money. So I said to Bob, I said, what kind of work do you do? He says, well, I'm in the construction work. And I said, well, do you think you could get me a job where you work? And he said, yeah, I can try. So about a month later, he came in and said, I got you a job. And that's how we found out that each one of us knew a few chords on a guitar, just a few chords. And he knew a little bit of lead guitar. And so we bought 2 guitars in a pawn shop. You know, a pawn shop, used guitars. And I think they were probably about $10 a piece, very hard to play. And then we started playing for people's parties, and people really liked us. And they said, whoa, you guys are different. And so, you know, we were in demand for people's parties because it was free anyway. But we'd play for anybody. We didn't care. We'd break out those guitars and start playing. And then we started rehearsing a lot and buying chord books to different chords. And we started playing things, not necessarily rock and roll, but, you know, like Stardust, the old Hoagy Carmichael song, and you know, a lot of things like that. Because we grew up in the days of big bands, you know, Glenn Miller and people like that. You know, even after we came here in 1962, the very first time, we started writing songs for Japan. You know, we got the feel of what the Japanese people liked. And we started writing songs, and the first song we wrote was Kita Gune no Aoizora. That was one of the first songs we wrote. And then, of course, a lot of people don't know that we wrote those melodies. And then I think the next one was Futari no Ginza, and then Kyoto no Koi, then Ame no Mirosuji, then Kyoto Bojo, many, and they all went to #1 with singers in the Japanese language. So that helped our career here too, a lot. And that was more or less in the late 60s and early 70s.
First of all, we introduced the guitar over here, you know, and once, I don't know, the Japanese people is different than most places. When they become your fan, it's your fan for life. You know, it's like a relative, and you know, so I look at it like, if they're my, you know, they're loyal to me, now I'm their fans too. So that's why I keep coming back.
Well, he didn't really talk too much about the road, but he was gone quite a bit when I was young, and he always talked about music, and music was always in the house, and that's kind of how I learned how to play. You know, I wanted to be like my dad. You know, so I would play on boxes and pots and pans, and you know, anything I could bang on, I would bang on. You know, just to make noise. You know, as a young kid, just to fall into a situation where it just clicked like that. I mean, I grew up listening to my father and mimicking my father's style. I mean, that's how I learned. So my style was similar, or is similar to my father's.
So that's how we more or less started. And then Bob had an album of Chet Atkins called Hi-Fi in Focus. And it had a song in there called Walk Don't Run. And we were pretty amateur at that time, and he played it almost jazz, you know, finger-style jazz. Well, we couldn't do that, but we loved the melody, so we thought, well, let's do our own arrangement, and that's how Walk Don't Run came about. Actually, Bob started that.
Oh, yeah.
I did. He started doing that, and then, yeah, you know, we did Walk Don't Run 64, and then I did it. So,
When we first started, after about 3 years, we had a record producer that was helping us produce the records, you know. And we told him that felt like we were running out of ideas. And he said, well, one idea is to find more sounds in that guitar. He said, there's sounds in that guitar you've never found yet. He said, I can't tell you what they are, but you need to experiment. And you'll find lots of sounds in that guitar you didn't know was there. I don't know how he knew that, but that was before we started the tiki-tiki and all those things, you know. So he was right. We kept trying and finding more techniques.
but Bob used to do it on the bass, that rundown, but then I put my heel of my hand on to make it kind of dull and not ring out. So we both really came up with that.
Actually, in Japan and in America, they say tiki-tiki, but over here they say teki-teki. So.
Oh, I listen to everything, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're, you know, you can take songs from Bach and Beethoven and turn them into any kind of music you want, you know. But, you know, if you're closed-minded, you don't listen to any other kind of music, you know, you're pretty limited, you know. But if you listen to, there's good music in every field. So you just have to find the music that you think will make something good in a different field and record it like that, you know. So I'm not opposed to any kind of music. I can't play rap on my guitar.
Yeah, the first time we came here, nobody had know who the Ventures were. We were just Bob and I only, not 4 pieces, only 2. Because the people that booked us here could only afford the 2 of us, and we played places like the Copacabana at that time in Akasaka, and we played a place called was it the Ricky Sports Palace, or that was the next time?
Next time, yeah.
Yeah, it was the next time we came over, and we played a lot of military bases, a lot of American Army, Air Force bases. That was in 1962. And then we came back in, I think, late 1964. I think in the winter time. There were like 5,000 people at the airport. And they had signs that said, "Welcome the Ventures." So we knew that we were extremely popular then. And then you'd go into different places where coffee shops and any place like that, they would be playing Ventures music. So the guitar got very popular because of the Ventures.
Yeah.
We have a whole list, a list about that long of different artists that I was watching TV one time and I see Mick Fleetwood. And they're asking him, who were your early influences? The very first one he said, well, the Ventures. And and then we have read that George Harrison had influenced slightly, you know, by the Ventures. He had heard us before. And also Jimmy Page, you know, many famous guitar players, many. Yeah, we've been coming here now for, well, I guess 45 years. And it's a long time, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like every year is new and fresh, and we get more fans and more guitar players and that learn from the Ventures. As a matter of fact, there are many Venture copy groups, as you know, in Japan. The Tokyo Ventures, the Kyoto Ventures, Osaka Ventures, Hiroshima Ventures, many, many. And that makes us feel real good. And that's, you know, we come back every year and we really enjoy playing. So, yeah, we have a good time here. And then you can go to these small islands, and you can go to small cities, and you can get to, we come to people. They don't have to come to us. So we like that.